development department. So there are multiple ways to engage with our students and hire them, and we certainly love that you want to do that and encourage that. It helps, especially students who are in career training programs and who are being hired for positions that are relevant to those. That makes such a huge difference in their education and skill retention and how quickly they learn things. So those are great relationships we want to foster. I know some of you also have some like part-time while they're in school kind of jobs. We have an outlet for those as well. I would direct you to our career center on campus. We can provide that link in the resources, but they do have a college career network, CCN, where you can post those job openings to our students. And then I know we've got a couple folks on the call who employ our students when they're in a career program and have an internship period. So like our automotive program, industrial tech, pretty much all of the hands-on career programs have some type of internship component for which students need 12 to 16 weeks of work experience for those. But then beyond that, in workforce development, we have some specific work-based learning opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Alicia Beck, Senior Director for Workforce Development here at Parkland, and also presently the Director of our SWIFT Support for Workforce Training Program until she's able to hire a replacement. But Alicia, you want to talk about SWIFT and the career opportunities available there?
Yeah. So I am, as Amy said, the Senior Director for Workforce Development. And underneath Workforce Development, we have our Support for Workforce Training initiatives, which are supportive scholarships. We have apprenticeships, which of course Amy is the director of. And then we also have adult education, which provides basic adult ed literacy skills and GED training. So we do have a wide variety of things that we provide for workforce development. Underneath the scholarships division, which is what I'm going to be specifically talking about today, we have several scholarships that support students for short-term training and for training up to 2 years, depending on the area. So we have a website that's actually has all of this information on it, so you don't have to remember it all today as I'm talking about it. You can refer to our website, which is parkland.edu/SWIFT, SWFT. So that's parkland.edu/SWFT. And I think Amy can put that in the chat for us. That's a direct link to all of our SWIFT programs, and that I'll be talking about today, and the admissions requirements and what certificates are currently included in those. So I'm going to start with what we call SWIFT Classic, and there are a number of programs that are underneath that, and it's funded by a program that we've been receiving from the Illinois Community College Board for probably about 6 or 7 years now. And it is called the Workforce Empowerment Initiative. And it is providing people with training for up to a year. Underneath that scholarship, we provide students with tuition, and we also provide students with supportive services and pay for all of their things like books and other needs that they might have. And you might find the WEI program interesting because we have not just opportunity for people who are new students coming into Parkland, but and new employees for you that we have sort of trained and that we can provide references for. We also have the option of training your incumbent workers. So if you have workers that you're looking to upskill in areas that we do fund underneath any of these scholarships, we can provide you with the opportunity to pay their tuition and fees and provide books as long as they qualify for our scholarship. The intent of the scholarship is to provide access to individuals who've previously been marginalized from workforce investment opportunities and higher education. So there are a few qualifying factors that we're looking for. Folks that have previously not received an associate's or bachelor's degree, folks who maybe need to reskill or upskill. people who are making a wage less than $27 an hour. We would like for them to eventually get on a pay scale that would take them to 27 or more in that program. But it's not a requirement for you as an employer to send someone to provide them with that at the end of their training, but it is something that we're hoping will be on their trajectory. So some of those areas that we fund in the WEI grant have to do with transportation and distribution, and construction, as well as manufacturing. So for the transportation and distribution area, we have our automotive collision and repair program that is 2 semesters long. It's a certificate for folks that want to learn how to repair vehicles. And I know that within that program, there's also a workplace opportunity for students to get workplace experiences. Automotive maintenance and light repair, which is our entry-level certification for automotive maintenance, is included in this program, as well as truck driver training. It's a very successful program. We have a number of students that we've put through the CDL licensing program to give them the required hours in both training and in classroom and out of classroom. It's a great way to send someone to what is really a pricey program in a lot of ways for employers, and to train up a qualified truck driver for your business. So we train people regularly for that. Every month, we're putting people into programs, which is different than some of our other programs, which are on the semester cycle. So for the truck driver training program, we're able to bring people in year round for that. So in addition to the transportation and distribution, as I said, we have both construction and manufacturing. In our construction program, we're training folks in construction basics, giving them a basic understanding of construction skills and an overview of that. Electronic power, which provides students with the ability to enter into entry-level positions in installation, service, and repair of electrical systems used in manufacturing and industrial controls. We have our HVAC technician program, which is for installer and repair, as well as machinery maintenance, which is a maintenance certificate preparing graduates for entry-level work in industrial or machinery maintenance. So all of those programs are funded by our SWIFT program 100%. This 100% tuition. Students actually get a stipend for attending classes, and we pay for any expenses that might pop up that are unknown for the student. Like if they get a flat tire and they have to get a tire repaired, we can help them with those kinds of expenses. So that's kind of an overview of our SWIFT Classic program and what we have to offer there. I think one of the important things to know about the program is that while we are always looking to bring in people who maybe don't have employment opportunities currently, we really do want to help people gain skills that they may not currently have. So this is, like I said before, a great opportunity for employers to upskill a current population. In addition to that, we do have we try to connect students with other apprenticeship and internship opportunities. So if you don't have a current student or a current employee that you're going to be sending to one of those programs, if you'd like to partner with us to provide an internship opportunity for one of our students that is going through the scholarship program, we'd love to work with you to make a good match for that student and for you. We wouldn't directly place a student without your consent of like interview and deciding that that person was a good fit for your organization. But we could send you a couple students that you might want to interview and decide for placement for an internship. Give them a try, and maybe they eventually become a good full-time employee for you. All right, so another program that we have here is specifically in healthcare. So if you work in the healthcare industry, it's similar to our program that's WEI funded, but it's funded by a program called PATH, also through the Illinois Community College Board. This program provides all the same incentives with tuition and with fees and books and all of those expenses for students. We also have a couple additional things that we put in for our requirements for being able to be in the program. In addition to the financial low income status, we also have a opportunity for incumbent workers to definitely receive that. If they're an incumbent healthcare worker, they would qualify for that program. We also have a piece of the program that is for first generation students. So if you're a first generation student who has interest in healthcare, then you'd be qualified for that scholarship. Our current application for that scholarship is closed and it will reopen again for the spring semester. So your best opportunity to interface with those students is through the job placement pieces as well as potentially hiring them as they're coming out of those programs. And we'd love to be able to connect with you for those opportunities. And then finally, we have our newest program, which is the SWIFT Clean Energy Jobs Program. And this is in cooperation with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And we provide scholarships to students in some specific program areas that support the goal of clean energy in the state of Illinois. One of those areas is solar installation. So if you are a construction entity or you have a solar piece that's in your portfolio of in your business, we do have a solar installer certification program that we put through students through in that. We pair that with a WEI certificate as well to provide students with a more robust construction background or electronic power background so that they're able to be a little bit more of a broad spectrum employee for you. And then we also have our HVAC certification that's paid through that certificate as well. And then finally, we have I'm sorry, I'm blanking out on the last one. Uh, we have solar install. Oh, automotive tech. I'm sorry, automotive maintenance and light repair. We also pay for automotive maintenance and light repair with that certificate. So we in the CJA certificate programs, we're really talking about clean energy. We give an introductory course to students about clean energy, and all of our students do complete sort of an intro to the ideas in the clean energy industry. So if that's something that's of interest for you and your business in particular, that's a great place to intersect with students that are also sharing in that same interest. We are currently accepting applications for that scholarship. If you have employees that you'd like to send to perhaps be part of that program, we'd love to talk to you about that. We'd also like to provide opportunity to intersect with you about apprenticeships or for other opportunities related to that clean energy industry hiring. So we do have a strong interest in this area, and we work with actually Taylor, who's on this call, works with us on the CJA program in particular. The Regional Planning Commission is one of our partners on that program. So with that, I will turn it over to see if anybody has any questions. Again, the best place for you to go with any specific questions or for the application itself is in the website, which again is at parkland.edu SWFT, and all three programs are right there on that site. Any questions that you might have for me?
I would just add on to what Alicia said that so workforce development at Parkland is focused on customized training options for employers. We love to have these conversations. You don't have to know that you want to participate in the CJA opportunity. If you just know that you want to work with us and train someone, we can start there with that conversation. So
yes, for sure, because we really recognize that there's some students who come to the program, go through the program, and then find a job. But this is a great opportunity for employers to use this as a tool. And so sometimes if, for example, if there was a interest in creating an apprenticeship that was surrounded around electronic power and use that certification, then that's an opportunity for the employer to use the scholarship that we have associated with the SWIFT grant to help fund the students to come through the apprenticeship process here at Parkland. So that's just one example, but I think that there's lots of ways that we can be flexible that would involve this piece of funding opportunity for you as an employer.
I didn't preface this session, and I meant to. I was running from another meeting, so my thoughts weren't quite collected. These work-based learning opportunities are something of an alternative, a new way of how we're doing things. So 10 years ago, many of you on the call would, you'd come in March or April. You might present to a class of students who are going to be graduating in May and recruit a couple of them or however many you needed. And that's not how it really works anymore. Those students have been employed since their first semester at Parkland. So we don't have the students looking for jobs in May or April. They've been snatched up and they've had someone who's supported them through their education and provided them a career pathway. So these are several ways to get involved with the students as they come through the door. So meeting them at the front door rather than at the exit. And so that's really how we are working with employers at this point, because we're sharing the same people. The people that you want to hire for entry-level positions are the ones that we want to train for those same positions.
Yeah, that's a great preference, Amy. Preface, Amy. I mean, I'm sorry that I didn't think to give that myself, but I want to make sure that if you have any questions, you can please reach out to Amy or me in our office. We're happy to meet with you one-on-one to just talk through what your particular workforce needs are to see if maybe one of these solutions would work for you. Because of course we have lots of opportunities, but we just want to make sure that you're aware of the ones that sometimes appear on the surface to be not maybe directly related to developing your workforce, but seem maybe more tangential, a scholarship opportunity for someone coming in. But these absolutely can be applied to your workers and your workforce in order to help you provide upskilling opportunities. So definitely want to make sure that we connect if you're looking to, make any of those opportunities happen, or if there are things that aren't listed here that you think would be of interest to you. We would like to hear about those too, because we can always go see if those are the opportunities that we might be able to fulfill. So we would like to be able to talk to you about those other opportunities that maybe just quite don't fit with what your needs are listed on our website, but you do have specific needs that you'd like to meet. We'd be happy to talk with you about that.
Thanks, Alicia. All right,
Yeah,
last call for questions for Alicia. She'll be here for the presentation, but
I will.
all right. Well, I'm going to hand it over to Kiefer Owens, our recently promoted Associate Director of Adult Education. Kiefer, you want to talk about your opportunities?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. Like Amy said, I work with adult education, and we have several grants under us. One of them is through WIOA. It's the Title I Out of School Youth Program, and that is a program that some of our students can join if they're of youth age between 16 and 24, and they're taking our GED preparation classes. So the individuals in this program will be folks without a high school credential, and they will be pursuing their GED test completion in order to get an Illinois high school diploma. And so for individuals in this program, we want to take folks who are focused on their education and also get them started towards their career journey. And so the program will have elements in it to improve skills to gain employment in the future. And so they will be learning soft skills to succeed in a job once they have it, how to be professional and communicate in the workforce and deal with stress and elements like that, as well as how to get a job and make a resume and interview well and stuff like that. So part of the activities, though, that they will be doing in this program is work-based learning. So based on each student in the program, we will work with them to figure out what they might want to do in the future, not just a job to get by, but what's their ultimate field they want to be in, and try to find them a way to do work-based learning in that field. And the fields that WIO likes are a lot of the ones mentioned earlier, like healthcare, manufacturing, and so forth. But we also have students who are really at the very beginning of their career journey, and so they don't even know what they want to do yet, but they haven't had a job before. And so for them, we also can find work-based learning opportunities for them that are in generic roles, work that an entry-level person or a volunteer even might do at a workplace that's not specific work that has to be credentialed. So like even admin assistant type work or work like that. So it's really flexible what we can set up, but we have a few different ways to do the work-based learning, and they're all incentivized for the student. So the grant that we have will pay the student's time in the work-based learning. So we can do something that is not too involved, like a job shadow or a few visits that the student takes with the employer, and we can incentivize them to participate in that. And that can really be whatever we make it. But most commonly what we set up are work experiences, or the grant calls them a WEX. And what that is essentially a paid internship where the pay part is coming from the grant. So there's no cost to the employer, but we set it up matching an employer's job description for a role like that. So if an employer tends to hire, I'll just use an example of one I have going right now. I have a student at the Park District at the Prairie Farm that runs in the summer. And so the Park District has employees at the Prairie Farm that helps maintain the animals and welcome customers and so forth. And I set up a WEX with them so that I also have a student working with them in the summer, but instead of the Park District paying them, my grant pays them, and their job duties are similar to the other employees. So it's a way for the employer to get extra support and the understanding that we're following this program. So we want the student to be able to train, to be treated as a new person, and work alongside the other employees. It's not meant to replace employees. It's meant to be additive for the employer. So it's pretty flexible. I've had people at automotive shops helping with what they can. I've had folks in nonprofits. So it really just depends on an employer and a student who both want the arrangement and finding a match. That's a lot of what we do on the case management side. So if you potentially would have an interest in that, please let me know. I will put the website for this program specifically in the chat, and that has my contact info on it, as well as an explanation of what the WIO youth program is at Parkland. So there's that link. In terms of adult education, other ways to work with us, if you have employees who do not have a high school diploma, we do classes every semester, and we would be happy to take them in our classes. And some employers have sent us groups of people before, and we use that as a way to advance the education of those employees, and sometimes they can get promoted within the company that way. So that is something to mention. But in terms of work-based learning with adult education, that's the main way we tend to do that, through the youth program. So any questions on that?
What's the length of time on those, Kiefer?
Yes.
I know it's a range.
Yeah, so typically the maximum hours for one individual is 240 for a work experience. So that would be about 20 hours a week for 12 weeks if we set it up that way, but it can vary. I've had people do 5 to 10 hours a week. I've had people do 40 hours a week for, I think that's 6 weeks. So again, it's pretty flexible. In terms of the something else to mention on the arrangement, it's very low maintenance for the employer. We try to just find a natural fit rather than find an employer and try to make them do something special with the student. We like to just find something that's a natural fit. And so we would be talking to you about bi-weekly timesheets that we complete to send to Regional Planning Commission, who is our grant provider for this grant. Beyond that, there's no requirements for the employer in terms of something they do on a weekly basis. I mean, it is in line with labor laws and whatnot that you would be following anyway. If there was ever a problem with the employer has the right to end the agreement at any time. As a support program for the student, the case manager here at Parkland would try to resolve any conflicts. So we would be like sort of a mediator if there was ever a problem and try to at least improve the behavior of the student before we had to end the agreement. But that's not a mandatory thing. You would have the right to end it at any time. The employee gets workers' comp through Regional Planning Commission. So it's set up as an employment arrangement, and Regional Planning Commission has made sure that everything is proper, in terms of requirements there.
Well, off the top of my head, we have several folks in HR on the call, and I'm thinking, that would be a really great opportunity for a student when they're doing recruiting events. We're heading into, August when we're on the road and out recruiting students for those programs. It could be a great opportunity for someone to shadow them and help them work those
Sure.
tables and learn more about the HR world, and also help lighten those loads, because those events are a lot of work. So that could be an interesting opportunity.
Yeah. And when it comes to fields like healthcare, where you need credentials to really do anything, we understand our students in the youth program wouldn't be able to do that. However, I do have a lot of students interested in a field like healthcare or other high demand industries. And I really would like to set something up where a student could even be be with an employer in a field like that, helping in some capacity. So even if that is administrative assistant type work, something in the field of healthcare would be great to set up. But regardless of your field, we can always talk about getting a student for you.
Terrific. Questions for Kiefer? Free interns. Anyone like a free intern? All right. Well, thanks so much, Kiefer. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I know you had a busy day. Thanks for popping on.
No problem.
And lastly, we have apprenticeships, which is me. So let me pull up. I've got just a few slides for you here. Let's see. Let's see. I think we got that. Now I have to figure out which window. Don't you love it? Okay. You're seeing my presentation? We're good? Cool. Thank you. All right. So apprenticeships are what a lot of you are already doing anyway, right? You bring in someone who has little to no training in the occupation. You're training them in some way. Maybe they're students. Maybe you're sending them to school, and they're working alongside during that time, and they're learning their occupation over a period of 1 to 5 years, 1 to 6 years, depending. So this is more of a formalized structure for that. And it is incredibly attractive to our younger workers because it is an intentional plan forward. So we create, we define an occupation, we determine what training is needed. You, the employer, determines that. It's very employer controlled, employer customized. And then we add the training components. So what they're going to learn at work, what they're going to learn in school, and then what those school components look like. So we're setting aside certificates, degrees, all those kinds of things. We just want to look at the skills and then see how Parkland can assist in training your employees in the highest quality, most affordable, quickest time frame overall. So we do require that the apprentice has a mentor and a supervisor, and that can be the same person. It often is. They have to be in some kind of training component, and I'm going to talk about some examples of those in a bit, but they have to be a paid job, and they have to receive pay increases for skill gains. You determine what that pay increase is and when. For the most part, it has to be at least once a year for the Department of Labor. The beauty is that you have people who have been there for a long time, might be looking towards retirement, but they have the secrets. They know how to do this special payroll function or what happens when this one system goes down. And so instead of that knowledge walking out the door when they retire, they get to train this next generation, and you get to keep all of that special sauce, those things that make that person the great employee with the institutional knowledge. And also, you're teaching them the culture. They're learning your culture from the beginning, as opposed to hiring someone who's completing school and doesn't have that work experience, hasn't worked for you before, and finding out that it's not a good fit. So it's really great partnership to train up someone. While apprenticeship is associated with trade unions, they've made it a household term. The apprenticeships we've set up have no union affiliation. So it's just between the employer and the Department of Labor, and Parkland kind of sits in the middle as an intermediary to help navigate all of that. And to make it as easy as possible for you, that's our goal. So employee retention is pretty amazing in this capacity. I think we have one of our employers from Caterpillar on the phone. In the first year they implemented their apprenticeship program. It's a 1 year for warehouse and logistics associates. They saw retention in that position go from 43 to 67%. So huge jump for a 1 year program. But what they did was to help that entry-level person making a lower wage than other employees, other positions, understand their role in CAT's global manufacturing. So when someone is late, calls in sick, makes a mistake, that impacts production in Brazil. And helping that person understand that they really are important and that there's a path forward for them and how large the organization is, all the different pathways and career options available to them, has made such a big impact on their employees. And those folks also got promoted pretty quickly. So while they're still in the program, they've been promoted to team lead positions, higher paying, higher responsibility because of the soft skills that they're learning, and they're reinvested in the job that way. So those are just a few benefits of an existing program that we have. So like I said, we need a paid job, on-the-job learning, that's your work time, your training, a dedicated mentor, classroom instruction, and then they need some kind of credential upon completion. That credential can be the Department of Labor Journey Worker Certificate, which I know is also a union term, but it's really an apprenticeship term. The unions use apprenticeship, if that makes sense. But sometimes those credentials could be a Parkland certificate, could be an OSHA credential. They could earn SACA, Smart Automation credentials, depending on the classes that they're in. They could earn American Welding Society credentials if they're taking welding classes. You get the point, though. So some program examples we have to maybe get your wheels turning. I talked about CATS a little bit. That 1 year has 4 credit classes in it. CAT's able to send folks to us for 4 hours once a week. So we have them in a 4-hour block 1 time a week that they come to campus for their class. And it's a customized class because they're sending 14 to 20 students at a time. So they pick the day, they pick the time, and we teach it, all 4 of their classes over the year. The Ag and Construction Equipment Technician is associated with our Case New Holland degree program. So those students do earn a degree. The CAT students aren't earning a certificate. They're getting 11 credit hours from Parkland that can count towards a business management degree. But the students in the CNH program are earning CNH Level 1 certification, which is really valuable to the dealership because those students can now be sent to training centers for whatever specialty that they might want for additional training. But you have to first be level 1 certified before they'll let you go to those courses. So they leave the institution with that, along with their degree, their associate in applied science degree, and their journey worker certificate. Those folks are in school with us full time for 2 years. So that's where it's a little bit different than some of the other programs. They tend to be our traditional 18, 19-year-olds right out of high school. So they're able to be full-time students. That tends to be more of an exception with apprenticeship because most of us are working with incumbent workers who can't do that. They can't be full-time students. They need to work full-time or at least 3/4 time. So they work a 3rd year to complete that apprenticeship program, a 3rd year of full-time work that completes a 3-year apprenticeship. Mechanical line technicians, we're about a year and a half in with that, with Kraft Heinz. So they have chosen what we call competency-based education, CBE, and those are at your own pace. Students can start, like it's July, you could start a class today that runs until the end of the month. If you could finish it in those 2 weeks, you get 1 credit hour. They're all broken into 1 credit hour chunks. So instead of a 4 credit hour class, it's 4 1-hour classes. And the employer may not want all 4 levels. They may just want 1 or 2 of levels within that, hydraulics or within pneumatics or mechanical assemblies, whatever the case may be. But Kraft has selected the industrial mechanics certificate, and students are working through those classes one at a time, but they're all at their own pace. So we're able to insert a student today. We started a few in January. We can start some in mid-August or October, any time of the year. It's really approachable, and that's been working out well as they're able to send. They have a new hire and they want to send them. We're not waiting for a semester to start. So they complete in about 18 months. And then they are also sending them to us 50% of the time, which is, again, very rare that they're able to do that. So those students are here for half of their workday every weekday here on campus for those 18 months. And then they'll work full time for another year to complete the apprenticeship. And then fiber optics, I think, is the most workforce friendly one because it's a 1-year training program, but it's only 5 days of training. And it's front loaded. So those students, that's our non-credit arm through community education. And it's Monday through Friday, 1 week that they're there 8 to 5, and they get all of that related training. And then they go to work for the rest of the year to put that to use on the job with their mentor, with their supervisor, and learning those skills. So you can see the varieties all over the place. You can front load the education, you can mix it in with work time. It could be at the end if you wanted them to work for you first. So many different combinations and ways to customize. We have questions. Any questions? It's a lot of information.
I just wanted to add in one thing. So we talked a little bit about the SWIFT funding earlier, and funding in general is something that if you are looking to do an apprenticeship or training, don't hesitate to reach out to see if there are resources that can support your business, because we can help connect you to resources that we have access to, but also resources that are internal to Parkland that might be able to benefit you or your learner that you might not be thinking about. So we definitely don't want you to not reach out because you think that these are outside of your budgetary capacity or that your business just can't afford them. We want you to bring your needs so that we can help you work through those problems and perhaps find solutions that will, alleviate you of those financial burdens.
And there are regularly new buckets of money. So one of Alicia and my favorite things to do is what we call braid the funds. So, all of the learners we've talked about are eligible for financial aid if they're taking college level classes. So they can apply for financial aid. Sometimes that'll pay for everything for the student. And if not, then it can definitely be first payer. So that comes off the top. And then that's going to reduce the cost significantly for the employer or for the learner. But beyond that, it's actually, thanks, Alicia, great segue. My next slide. There are several funding opportunities. Illinois Apprenticeship Tax Credit is for businesses that pay Illinois income taxes. And so if you have a registered apprentice and the employer is paying for their education expenses, so you're paying Parkland directly, then you could be eligible for up to a $3,500 tax credit per apprentice. And so for a student, like Berkey's is a great example. They used this at the beginning before they became employee owned. The way the tax year and the way the academic year overlap means we're hitting 3 tax years for a 2-year associate degree, right? Because we start in August and we end in May. And so that means this $3,500 per year becomes $10,500 on a program that's about $20,000. So there's 50% of the student's education cost right there from a tax credit, if the employer is willing to pay that upfront and be reimbursed. The student or the employer could be located in an underserved area. I have a map, I can look up those addresses, but that then means that balance goes up, or that benefit goes up to $5,000 per tax year per apprentice. So that's one great benefit, and it was scheduled to sunset in December, but it's continuing. So we don't have an end date on that. It's active, and there will be additional ways people can qualify for these funds. Veterans, I believe women in apprenticeship. We haven't seen documentation on that yet, so don't quote me, but I'd be happy to talk to you about that once DCEO releases those qualifiers. And then we also have, of course, WIOA, which we had another session on, that funding, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Kiefer mentioned that earlier, and his work is through one aspect of WIOA, but then there's another one that is for either the learner, the individual can be qualified, and WIOA will cover the cost of their training and additional needs while they're in school. But then there's also incumbent worker training funds. And so the business can apply for those funds through Taylor. Taylor's still on the call. And then use those for one or more employees. You have to specify the training program, the cost, the length of time, and then the board will review your application and you can be approved for WIOA funding. So lots of different ways. Nonprofit organization incentives page. Yeah, so I mean, we're looking more at like financial aid for the learner. SWIFT funding would be eligible. That tax credit's not going to apply.
Yeah, sorry, I was just referencing more the tax credit for incentive of apprenticeships.
Yeah,
I said it at every opportunity, and I know it's not you guys making those decisions by any means, but it would be nice for an equivalent or similar incentive for apprenticeships for nonprofit organizations is all.
I agree. We do work with employers who don't pay Illinois income taxes for whatever reason. They're exempt from those, and so then no, they are not eligible for that tax credit. But we are always finding new pots of money, new grants, new whatnot. So, try to keep everybody aware of those. But thank you for that feedback. We do also have a current grant through our non-credit side through community education that can offset the cost of training for the programs they offer. So those include things like, I'm a huge fan of the essential workplace skills, because I hear from you all that our younger workers don't understand that they really do have to be at work at 8 o'clock and that they really do have to come every day, and things like that they just don't quite get because no one's told them and they haven't worked before, as well as, working out communication issues, working through the conflict. So there's a 5 or 6 part series on that through community education, and it's possible they could offset the cost with their grant, as well as the other side of the coin. The Leading Edge series is great. So we promote our technicians, right? You promote those entry-level folks into leadership positions, which is fantastic. But then they don't have the people skills because their previous position didn't require it. And so Leading Edge helps them with those communication skills, understanding people's personalities and the best way to work with those. They use DISC in that. Even things like managing your email and saying no, prioritizing. So that Leading Edge series is terrific, and they can offer a custom one for your organization, or you could join the regular classes that are already offered. But again, that grant could possibly offset the cost of those, so we can connect you with that team if that interests you. But we like to, that's one of our jobs, right, as the stewards of all of this grant funding and these different connections that we have to others with the grant funding, and to try to connect you all to that money to improve your workforce. That's all we have today. I would love to hear any questions you might have about these resources or grant funds, upskilling your workforce. And again, happy to have a meeting with anyone, even if you don't know what you want or you don't have any money to spend. We'd love to talk to you and find out what you have going on, how you're training people, and what resources you're currently using, what your challenges are. It helps us do better and be better in our roles. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next month. It's always the third Tuesday, so we're going to see you on August 19th at 11 a.m. If you have topic suggestions, we would always love to hear those, so please shoot those my way. Thank you.